On the edge of a distant star system, Galaxy's Edge outpost floated like a silent guardian. It sat at the end of a twisting path called the Jezra Corridor. Bright nebulae and hidden dangers tested every traveler. For Captain Elena Marquez, the outpost was home and duty. Each morning, she walked its narrow halls, her dark hair tied in a bun. Her uniform bore the Galactic Trade Federation emblem. She greeted miners and engineers with a calm nod, her steady presence a comfort. That morning, Elena sat at her small desk sipping coffee from a metal mug. Hollow screens showed ship positions and asteroid scans. The hum of machinery felt normal. Then a chime broke the quiet. Lieutenant Jafari's voice came over. "Captain, we have a distress signal from the asteroid belt. It is faint, full of static, and in an unknown language." Elena set her mug down. "Show me." Flickering symbols appeared. The message repeated in a scared tone. Elena felt her chest tighten. "What do we know?" she asked. Jafari replied, "A small ship drifts among the rocks. It has heavy damage. Life support is failing. One life sign remains. The language is unreadable." Elena paused. An unknown being in danger meant a choice. She chose help. "Prepare the Resolute. We leave now." The Resolute, a Horizon-class frigate, waited in the ship bay. Its hull gleamed under repair lights. Engineers finished checks on engines and shields. Elena touched the smooth metal, feeling its strength. This ship and crew were her best chance to save the stranger. Elena felt a surge of determination as the crew prepared. Lieutenant Jafari met her at the entrance. "All systems green, Captain. The life sign remains." Elena nodded and climbed aboard. Inside, the crew moved to their stations. Adira Tal plotted the course. Kale Haas checked shields. Ima Riz prepared medkits. "Engage jump drive." "Set course to the belt," Elena ordered. The Resolute shuddered as engines powered up. In seconds, stars stretched into lines. Faster than light travel, carried them near the belt in a breath. The ship emerged among jagged rocks. Elena peered through the viewport. A small vessel floated among the asteroids. Its hull was torn and dark. It spun slowly, helpless. Strange glowing patterns ran along its surface. Battle scars etched its sides. Elena felt her heart tighten. "Damage report," she said softly. "Kyle," replied, "multiple hull breaches, shields are down. Reactor output is low, life support fails soon. One weak life sign inside." Elena drew a breath. "Jafari, suit up. Gather a team. We go now." "Understood, Captain," Jafari replied. Moments later, Elena and two crew members floated into the void, tether lines securing them to the Resolute. Drifting asteroids gleamed in pale light. Elena felt fear and focus. In the vacuum, every move mattered. They reached the alien ship. Its metal felt warm under her hand. Strange symbols glowed faintly. She sensed a silent pulse inside. Jafari pointed to a panel near the center. "Vent here," he whispered. Elena raised the cutting beam. A bright blue light flared as it clashed with metal. Sparks flew in zero gravity. Cold air hissed from inside. Elena widened the opening until a rough-edged hole appeared. She peered into darkness, disturbed only by faint red lights. "Bring the stretcher and med kit," she murmured. The corridor inside was twisted, wires dangling like vines. Elena drifted forward with her team. Ahead, she saw a small figure slumped against a wall. The being's skin was pale with a blue sheen. Thin, glowing lines traced its arms. Though injured, its breathing was slow but steady. Elena hovered beside the creature. She spoke gently, though it could not understand her words. She placed a gloved hand on its shoulder. The being's large eyes fluttered open, wide with fear. Elena felt a rush of hope. Medic Riz floated in and scanned the alien with a small device. "Suit tears are minor, wounds are shallow. We can move." Elena nodded. They lifted the figure onto the stretcher. The being's head rested on padded subhumans if we are not careful. Elena nodded, glancing at the pale blue veins that traced intricate patterns across Ishara's arms. She recalled how those lines had shown in the darkness of the asteroid belt. Dr. Tanvir placed a small, cylindrical scanner over the girl's chest. The device hummed, projecting colored lights onto a hollow screen above their heads. Data scrolled, down in an alien script. Elena leaned in, fascinated. "Can we translate any of this?" she asked. The xenobiologist tapped the scanner's controls. "I can identify basic biological markers, heart rate, cell structure, energy levels. But her language? We might need a universal translator or a simpler method. She carries no personal log or standard communicator." Elena pressed her lips together. She wanted to know more about Ishara's people, her home, and why she was so grateful. Dr. Tanvir refocused on the readings. "Her energy core is stable but weak. Radiation from the asteroid impacts damaged her internal regulator. I need to inject stabilized isotopes to help rebuild her cells. Once her strength returns, we can begin trying to communicate." Jafari hovered at the door, holding a tray of supplies. His uniform still bore dust from the rescue. "Captain, all systems are green on the Resolute. We have a safe corridor back to Galaxy's Edge. But we may need to detour to Akara Station if she does not improve." Elena looked at Ishara's chest as it rose and fell slowly. "Not yet, Jafari. Let her rest here tonight. Once she regains consciousness, we will move to Galaxy's Edge for translation equipment. For now, Dr. Tanvir should do whatever she needs." Dr. Tanvir nodded and prepared a clear vial of glowing blue fluid. Ishara's eyes opened briefly, revealing glossy pupils. She stared up at Elena as if sensing her presence. Elena offered, a gentle smile. "You are safe now," she murmured. Though the girl could not understand her words, there was comfort in her tone. Dr. Tanvir injected the isotopes carefully into Ishara's arm. Ishara flinched but did not cry out. The doctor monitored the display. Her oxygen levels crept upward, and faint warmth returned to her skin. The medbay doors closed softly. Outside, the rest of the crew continued their duties. Elena remained, still, watching Ishara's chest until it rose with steadier breaths. Minutes passed. Then Ishara's eyes closed. A soft exhale sounded. Elena turned toward the door to leave, but paused to look back at the girl. She wondered what world Ishara had come from before her ship was destroyed. She wondered if the girl understood how lucky she was to be alive. Later, in her quarters, Elena removed her boots and set her uniform aside. She sank into a simple chair by the viewport. Stars gleamed like frozen diamonds in the ink-black sky. Elena traced the nebula of Isandra with her finger on the glass. Somewhere beyond those lights lay hidden threats, new allies, and the secret of Ishara's gratitude. But now, she allowed herself a moment of quiet. She closed her eyes, thinking of her home on Earth, far removed from this duty on the edge of human space. The next morning, pale sunlight filtered through narrow windows. Elena arrived in the medbay to find Ishara awake. The girl lay propped on pillows, her skin no longer ashen. She reached out a trembling hand when she saw Elena. Elena lifted her glove and gently held the girl's hand. Fingers as delicate as porcelain curled around her own. Ishara's dark eyes searched Elena's face. In that moment, Elena believed. The girl recognized her savior. Dr. Tanvir stood nearby, holding a small handheld translator. He tapped it and soft electronic hums filled the air. "I have programmed basic syntax modules to detect patterns in her language. It may take time, but let us try simple phrases." Dr. Tanvir spoke into the device. "I am Captain Elena Marquez. You are safe." The device made clicking sounds as it tried to match the girl's replies. Ishara's lips moved, but her words were strange to human ears. The translator emitted a soft beep and displayed untranslated symbols. Dr. Tanvir frowned. She understands our intent, but her tongue is older than any known dialect connectors. We need visual aids. Elena looked around. The medbay, was stocked with supplies and charts of known flora and fauna. She grabbed a datapad and selected images of smiling humans, of food, of comforting scenes. She held the pad before Ishara. The girl's eyes widened at the image of a human child. Offering a flower. She pointed to the flower and in soft syllables repeated a word that sounded like Nara. Dr. Tanvir noted it down. Nara. Perhaps it means gift or gratitude. Elena smiled. Here, she said, tapping an image of a starship. Ishara's eyes lit up and she placed a small hand over her heart. The translator rendered, "Thank, hero." Elena's heart swelled. The girl had thanked her. Tears threatened to form. Ishara looked away, embarrassed. Elena spoke quietly. "You are welcome. We will help you." Ishara's lip quivered, and she gestured toward the holopad, pointing at a simple star chart. She traced a route with her finger, pausing at one particular point in the cluster. Elena remembered that star field, the data crystal. Dr. Tanvir stepped closer. "She may be showing us her home system." Ishara nodded vigorously and held up a small device clipped to her tunic, a compact data crystal engraved with glowing runes. When the light struck it, the crystal projected a soft blue star map above the medbay floor. The image hovered in the air, a cluster of stars surrounding a green-blue planet. Elena recognized the pattern. She touched one of the stars in the projection. A gentle hum echoed. Ishara placed her hand over Elena's, guiding her finger to a smaller, distant moon orbit. Dr. Tanvir studied the projection. "This is remarkable. That crystal contains more than a map. It holds information, perhaps genetics or technology." Elena nodded. "We need to protect it. Whatever it holds may have saved her life." She looked at Ishara. The girl's eyes were bright with hope. Though injured and weary, she had given Elena the first glimpse of her world. Elena straightened and spoke determinedly. "Once you are stronger, we will take you and this crystal to Galaxy's Edge. There, we can translate everything on a larger scale. And then you can tell us about your home." Ishara's eyes glowed with gratitude. She leaned forward to place her hand on Elena's arm. Elena squeezed gently. In that silent moment, Eleanor knew that the bond between them had begun. Ishara's gift, the crystal, was more than data. It was trust, and trust in Elena unleashed a promise. No matter the cost, she would protect this alien girl and the secret she carried. The Resolute slid into the docking bay of Galaxy's Edge at dawn, its hull warmed by pale sunlight. Captain Elena Marquez stood on the ramp watching engineers release the docking clamps. Ishara, wrapped in a soft blanket, sat on a stretcher carried by two medics. The alien's glowing veins were fainter now. Her strength was returning. Elena guided them down the corridor, each step echoing on metal floors. Though the station was busy with daily routines, miners loading ore, traders delivering supplies, everyone paused to glance at the strange visitor. Rumors would swirl quickly when an unknown being arrived. In the medical wing, Dr. Tanvir and Dr. Liang, the station's chief linguist, awaited Ishara. The doctors had prepared a private chamber furnished, with data terminals and a smaller bed for the girl. "We have more space here for scanning equipment," Dr. Tanvir explained to Elena. "Dr. Liang can work on translating her language and analyzing the data crystal." Elena nodded. The soft hum of machinery filled the room as Ishara was settled onto the bed. She lay quietly, fatigue visible in her wide eyes. Elena patted her hand. "Rest now. We will start soon." Ishara closed her eyes, trusting the human who had saved her life. Later, Elena stood by the doorway as Dr. Liang activated a holo projector. A small table held the data crystal, its facets reflecting dim light. The crystal hovered in a containment field, warm to the touch of the robotic arm that held it. Dr. Liang wore a headset linked to the station's universal translator. She played a recording of Ishara's soft voice saying Nara, which Dr. Tanvir believed meant gratitude. Now Dr. Liang aimed to decode the deeper layers of the crystal in Ishara's speech. Elena watched from behind, wondering how much this strange gift contained. Dr. Liang tapped commands on a holoscreen. The crystal operates on a biology-driven matrix, she said, her voice low with excitement. It reacts to Ishira's neural patterns. When she focuses, it reveals star coordinates and data streams. On the holo display, streams of symbols, lines, of luminous text, flowed like a river of light. Elena leaned in, mouth slightly open. The text resolved slowly into star charts and diagrams of machinery with rotating rings. This is technology far beyond ours, Dr. Liang continued. Look at these energy conduits. They show how to harness clean power from living stars. Elena's heart quickened. If such technology were real, it could solve energy crises across human worlds. Dr. Tanvir joined them, holding a small translator orb. Ishara has drawn maps of her home system too, he said. She called her world Aloria. It appears in the diagram, a planet surrounded by 3 moons. These are the systems her people protect. Elena studied the charts. A blue-green planet ringed by moons that glowed like pearls. Why was she alone in the belt? Elena asked softly. Dr. Tanvir's expression darkened. According to intercepted broadcasts and official logs, mercenaries attacked the Alorian convoy. They sought precisely this crystal's secrets. Ishara's ship escaped but took heavy damage. Elena felt a chill. A gift of such power must draw danger. She thought of the ruined hull drifting among the asteroids. Ishara had clutched the crystal even when her life faded. Just then, Ishara stirred on her bed. Her eyes opened slowly, reflecting. The hollow light. Dr. Liang offered her a simple pictogram, a rocket ship flying past stars. Ishara pointed to the nearest star on the chart. The orb translated her word, home. Then she touched her heart, and the translator added, protect. Elena felt warmth in her chest. Ishara trusted them enough to share these secrets. The girl had shown them a path to Eloria's hidden guardians, and now she spoke of protection. Elena laid a gentle hand on Ishara's arm. Ishara smiled weakly, tears forming in her dark eyes. That evening, Elena walked through the station's central hub, deep in thought. Miners paused their work, and traders set down crates to stare at her. She needed allies if they were to defend Ishara and the crystal. Elena entered the office of Governor Renard, a tall man with silver hair and a reputation for fairness. The governor raised an eyebrow as Elena approached his desk. Captain Marquez, what brings you at this hour? He asked. Elena bowed her head respectfully. Governor, I bring a request. We have with us Ishara, a survivor from Aloria. She carries a data crystal of immense power, energy technology beyond our science. Mercenaries are hunting her people to claim this device. I ask for Galaxy's Edge's protection until we can find safe guardians. Governor Renard studied Elena's determined face. He tapped a pen on his desk. This is serious. Many on this station rely on trade with mercenary fleets, but I will uphold our codes. We will restrict docking permissions and increase patrols around the station. Anyone coming too close without clearance will be turned away. Relief washed over Elena. Thank you, Governor. Ishara's safety is critical, not only for her people but for future generations who need this gift. Back in the medical wing, Ishara lay staring at the hollow chart of Aloria. Dr. Tanvir approached quietly. I have isolated a sequence in the crystal's data that may help us translate her language fully, he explained. But I need Ishara's cooperation. She must remain calm to feed her neural patterns. Ishara looked up and nodded. Dr. Tanvir placed a gentle scanner on her temple. The device emitted soft pulses of light. Ishara closed her eyes and focused. The crystal on the table glowed in response. Hollow waves washed through the air, forming intricate glyphs that Dr. Liang began to piece together. Elena watched from a distance, marveling at the bond between science and trust. Over the next hours, the translators and scientists worked side by side. Ishara's broken phrases began to form fuller thoughts. Aloria needs help. Darkness comes. The crystal's diagrams showed structures called sentinels ancient guardians who could raise shields to protect planets. Elena felt both awe and responsibility. She understood that Ishara's gift was more than a simple thank you. It was hope, for Eloria and for humanity. If used wisely, it could bring light to worlds still trapped in conflict. That night, Elena stood at a viewport, overlooking the station's docking field. Stars shone brightly through drifting nebulae. She held a small crystal shard Ishara had given her, a token meant to seal their bond. Elena pressed it to her heart and thought of her duty, to keep Ishara safe, to protect the crystal's power, and to use this gift for peaceful ends. As she gazed into the vast unknown, Elena knew the journey ahead would be dangerous, but human grit and Kue Ishara, and leave. We will follow her map to Isandra Nebula. There, the Guardians can protect her. Our goal is to buy time until we can reach that sanctuary. A murmur passed through the group. None questioned Elena's plan. Her steady leadership had always inspired confidence. Jafari stepped forward. Captain, I can organize the militia and station them at key points. We have laser turrets around the station's perimeter. Engineers can boost power to shields. The mercenaries may try to breach our defenses quickly, so we must be ready. Elena nodded. Good, Dr. Liang. Dr. Tanvir, prepare Ishara. She must understand we move soon. Let her rest until the signal to go. Ishara, who had been sleeping in the medical wing, stirred as if sensing tension. She opened her eyes, and Dr. Liang offered her a simple hollow diagram of Galaxy's Edge, highlighting escape pods and cargo shuttles. Ishara traced Elena's route, with trembling fingers nodding once. The translator rendered, "When they come, we go." Meanwhile, engineers raced through maintenance shafts, rerouting power. Sparks flew as they connected conduits to shoulder new loads. At turret stations, marksmen checked energy cells, loading beam charges and testing calibrations. Hundreds of tiny red lights on the station's grid flashed, showing every shield emitter was online. Elena walked the corridors, offering words of encouragement. Trust your training, she told a young engineer named Ria. Defend this station as if it were your home, because it is. Outside, the mercenary ships held position beyond long-range scanners. The station's AI broadcasted a calm warning. Unidentified hostile fleet detected. Please stand by for orders. Elena watched the nearest ship through her viewport. Its hull emblazoned a jagged emblem, a red hawk clutching a bloodied sword. She clenched her fists. Karav Solin's reputation was built on fear, but Elena refused to yield to terror. She knew that Solin would not risk a prolonged battle. He would try a surprise attack to grab the crystal quickly. Down in the control room, Kale Haas monitored energy level, and shield integrity. Captain, shields are at 70%, but we can push to full once they open fire, he reported. Elena nodded. Do it. Engage batteries on my mark. She took a steady breath. Jafari, alert all stations. We hold until Ishara and her crystal are safe. Moments later, the mercenary fleet surged forward. Explosive energy bolts burst across the void as their forward squads fired upon Galaxy's Edge. Alarms blared. The station shook as shields absorbed the first wave of hits. Red hazard lights flashed, and a low hum of energy shifted to a high-pitched whine as power surged to the shield grid. Elena stood at the command console watching holo displays showing enemy trajectories. Shields holding, Kale said, voice tight. Repeat hits every 2 seconds. Turrets are engaging, but they are focusing on our perimeter. Keep them off the escape route, Elena ordered. We cannot let them track Ishara's path. Suddenly, a warning tone pierced the background hum. Captain, Kale said, eyes widening. They just deployed a cloaked corvette behind. It's likely to cut off our exit. They will attempt to board. Elena's jaw clenched. Damn. Jafari, send reinforcements to the cargo bay and nearby docks. We must secure the shuttles. Find Ishara the moment the boarding breach begins. Lieutenant Jafari acknowledged and rushed from the room. Elena whispered to the holo screen, Hold on, Ishara. Help is coming. While the battle outside raged, Ishara lay on her bio bed recovering. Dr. Liang adjusted her IV drip filled with nutrient serum designed for her physiology. Ishara lifted her head when she heard distant explosions. Panic flickered in her dark eyes. Dr. Liang placed a calming hand on her shoulder. Ishara, we leave soon. You must be ready. The translator echoed, ready. Ishara's voice was weak but determined. Despite her injuries, she tried to sit up to review the star charts projected beside her. Back in the command center, Elena noticed another threat blinking on the display, a small fighter squadron weaving toward the station's hull. The shields dimmed under concentrated fire. She tapped a control to divert power. Kale, transfer auxiliary power to the south arrays. We need to keep that section sealed. At the same time, the station's docking clamps began to unlatch. A charging energy surge cracked along the corridor lights. Elena's stomach knotted. She realized the mercenaries had bypassed the outer defenses. They would spill onto Galaxy's Edge soon. She grabbed the comm. All hands, prepare for stations. Defensive teams to hold zones 2 through 6. Ishara must evacuate now. Jafari's voice crackled back. Captain, the cargo shuttles are prepped. We have a clear path to Dock 3, but the southern walkway is under heavy fire. Elena made her decision. Use the service tunnels. I'll cover you from here. She turned to Kale. Target the fighters. Use precision shots. Don't risk damage to the docks. On the station floor above, mercenary boarding parties exploded through a breached airlock. Armed soldiers in black armor moved swiftly, scanning for living targets. But Galaxy's Edge's militia, armed with laser carbines and makeshift energy grenades, were ready. A fierce but controlled firefight erupted. Streaks of red and blue, light arced through corridors as defenders pinned the invaders and forced them back. In the medbay, Ishara heard the distant echoes of battle. She pressed her hand against her bandaged arm and whispered, "Protect." Dr. Liang tightened a sling around Ishara's shoulder. "Stay calm. Follow me." Carefully, Ishara rose, her legs still unsteady. They ducked under a flickering corridor light and slipped into a maintenance access tunnel. Dr. Liang led her along narrow pathways behind hidden conduits, keeping quiet as footsteps pounded above them. Above, Elena watched the main viewport as one of Solan's corvettes veered to intercept cargo shuttles. She clicked a command and guided a patrol drone to a ventilation shaft. The drone's camera feed appeared on her screen, showing Dr. Liang and Ishara moving below. Relief flickered across Elena's face. They were safe for the moment. She keyed her comm. "Jafari, escort Ishara to Dock 3 via the service tunnels. I will cover the retreat." "Understood, Captain," Jafari replied. Below, Dr. Liang and Ishara navigated the tight tunnels. Ishara's glowing veins pulsed faintly in the dim light. She clutched her data crystal tightly against her chest. Dr. Liang handed her a small handheld pack. "Take this. Supplies and a comm beacon." Ishara nodded. Her dark eyes reflected gratitude and fear. Every step echoed their determination to escape. Above them, Elena monitored every sensor. Kyle announced, "The enemy fighters are retreating. They focus on the shuttles now." Elena tapped a screen. "Good. Keep them busy. We move Ishara first, then we will follow." On the station floor, mining carts and supply crates became makeshift barricades. Defenders used energy beams to force the mercenaries into choke points. The invaders fought hard but did not know the station's layout. Eventually, the boarding parties fell back, regrouping near the main hangar. In the service tunnels, Dr. Liang and Ishara arrived at a hidden lift. Jafari and a team of guards were there waiting. "Time to move," Jafari said. Ishara climbed into the lift, clutching her crystal. They rose steadily. Above, Elena saw through the drone camera that Ishara was safe inside the shuttle bay. She watched as the doors of Dock 3 sealed behind them. Elena exhaled, tension leaving her shoulders for a moment. But she did not relax. The battle was not over. She issued orders to continue station defense and targeted artillery to keep Solan's ships at bay. Moments later, a lone shuttle emerged from Dock 3. Inside, Jafari guided Ishara to the cockpit. The shuttle's thrusters flared as it slipped past the station's broken outer defenses. Ishira looked back at Galaxy's Edge through the cockpit viewport, the station battered but still standing. She pressed her forehead against her hand, her expression torn between relief and sorrow. Behind them, Elena gave a final nod to the station before turning away. "Get to Isandra Nebula. I will meet you there." Ishara clutched her crystal and spoke softly through the comm. "Thank Hero." Elena's voice crackled back, steady as ever. "Safe travels, Ishara. May the Guardians guide you." As the shuttle disappeared into the starfield, Elena watched until only a pinprick of light remained. Around her, Galaxy's Edge outpost buzzed with activity. Repair teams, defenders, and worried faces. Elena turned away from the viewport. Her next destination lay along Ishara's star charts, the heart of Isandra Nebula, where ancient power awaited. With a determined breath, Elena prepared the Resolute for warp. The chase was far from over, but she would protect Ishara's gift with every ounce of human courage. The Resolute glided through the blackness of space, guided by Ishara's star chart. Captain Elena Marquez stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the swirling colors of Isandra Nebula ahead. The nebula's core glowed with soft purples and greens, like a cosmic storm caught in slow motion. Every crew member on the bridge felt tension. They had to reach the Guardians before mercenaries could intercept them. Lieutenant Jafari monitored sensors, reporting fragments of drifting asteroids and pockets of electromagnetic interference. "Captain, we are entering the outer fringe of the nebula. Fields of charged particles will stress our shields," Jafari said calmly. Elena nodded. "Maintain course, divert power to shields and engines. We push through quickly but carefully." The Resolute's engines hummed and the ship shuddered as it entered the first ring of plasma. Outside the viewport, electric tendrils of light danced around them like ghostly fingers. Inside the bridge, Cale Haas checked energy readings. "Shields down to 50%, but holding. Engines strain increasing," he reported. Elena's brow furrowed. "Keep the ship steady. We can't afford a full shield failure." She glanced at Ishira's image on a small side monitor. The alien girl sat in a secured medbay pod, bandaged and pale, but determined. Dr. Tanvir paced nearby, monitoring Ishira's vital signs. Every pulse scan showed weakness, but Ishira's gaze was focused. She pressed a small data crystal shard to her forehead, as if drawing strength from it. Elena followed Ish moments later. The Resolute drifted into a wide docking bay carved directly from a giant calcite pillar. The doors opened with a silent hiss, and the ship's lights reflected off walls of prismatic crystal, scattering rainbows in every direction. Elena guided them to a central platform, where smooth, crystalline tendrils connected to star map displays. The ship settled, and docking clamps engaged. A hush fell over the bridge. For a brief instant, every human on board felt the weight of centuries of peacekeepers who had built this place. Then, the airlock doors opened, revealing a curved passage lined with floating orbs of light. Elena took a steadying breath and stepped forward with Jafari, Cale, and Dr. Tanvir at her side. Inside the passage, towering figures emerged, guardians of Aeloria. They were tall and radiant, with skin that glowed like the nebula's soft hues. Their forms blended organic curves with crystal growths that extended from their shoulders and forearms. Each guardian wore a simple robe of woven starlight fibers that shimmered as they moved. The tallest among them stepped forward, its face serene and luminous. Elena bowed her head. The guardian's voice resonated without sound, like a chorus of distant bells. In her mind, Elena heard the words, "Welcome, Captain Elena Marquez of Earth. You have brought our child home." Dr. Tanvir gently guided Ishara, who floated forward on a Scifi Mall hover platform. The girl's bandages were changed and her eyes glowed with awe. She lifted one hand and touched the radiant skin of the tallest guardian. The runes on the crystal walls brightened, casting a soft white light. Ishara spoke in her own tongue, and the guardians responded in kind. Though Elena could not understand the words, she sensed reverence and relief. The crystal in Ishara's hand pulsed with recognition. Elena watched as the Guardians formed a circle around Ishara, their radiant forms casting elongated shadows on the polished floor. One Guardian raised a hand toward Elena. Suddenly, the chamber's center revealed a small pool of translucent liquid. The Guardian produced a chalice from a hidden recess in its robe and gestured for Elena to come forward. Elena approached cautiously. She accepted the cup and the guard placed it gently in her hands. The liquid glowed pale blue like Ishara's veins. Elena drank, and a wave of calm washed over her. Each Guardian laid a hand on Ishara's shoulders and chanted softly. The runes on the walls began to pulse in response. Light flowed from wall to floor, forming a protective circle around Ishara. Guardian voices layered into one resonant melody. Physical sensations of warmth and peace enveloped Elena and her crew. They felt welcome, safe, united with ancient power. Outside the chamber, the skies of Isandra Nebula roared as the mercenary fleet arrived in orbit. Their ships unleashed a rain of energy bolts, striking the fortress's outer shields with violent force. The crystal barriers shimmered under impact, but held firm. Elena watched from the central balcony as Guardians raised their arms, channeling energy from the nebula itself. Vivid tendrils of violet and green light arced from their outstretched palms into the shield matrix. The barrier flared brighter than 1,000 suns. Explosions rocked the fortress's spires, but the crystal walls absorbed and reflected the blasts, sending shards of light into space like fireflies. On the balcony, Jafari stood alert, rifle in hand. Kyle and the engineers worked consoles that controlled defensive turrets embedded in the fortress walls. Elena placed a hand over Ishara's shoulder. The girl's eyes shone with tears of gratitude. The Guardians had answered her silent plea. Above the battle, the nebula's swirling colors reflected off the exploding energy blasts, creating a cosmic fireworks display. Elena inhaled deeply, allowing the Guardians' promise of safety to settle in her heart. Though the mercenaries bombarded the fortress, they made no progress. The combined might of Guardian magic and celestial energy repelled every attack. Elena watched the enemy command ships retreat in confusion and fear. At last, Karav Solan's fleet withdrew into the darkness, defeated without a single breach. As silence returned, Elena turned to Ishara. The girl knelt before the tallest Guardian, offering her crystal. The Guardian accepted it and held it aloft. In that moment, a soft glow radiated from the crystal, infusing the entire fortress with a gentle light. Elena stepped forward, and Ishara placed a hand on Elena's arm. The translator whispered, "Thank you, Protector." Elena smiled, tears filling her eyes. She looked around at her loyal crew, the noble Guardians, and the vibrant nebula beyond. In the quiet that followed the battle, Elena realized that human courage and alien compassion had combined in a moment of true unity. They had stood together at the edge of the galaxy and shown that even in the darkest places light could prevail. In the heart of Isandra Fortress, a hush fell over the grand hall as Guardians and humans gathered around Ishara. The chamber's walls carved from living crystal glowed softly. Elena Marquez stood beside her crew, her uniform clean but still bearing faint scars from the journey. She felt both awe and a gentle fear. They were in a place older than any human record, surrounded by beings who held power over stars themselves. Ishara knelt before the tallest Guardian, her small hands trembling as she gave up the living matrix, crystal. The Guardian accepted it with reverence, lifting the gem high above its head. Rays of blue-green light shimmered across the room. Elena watched the crystal pulse, as if it contained a heartbeat. The Guardians broke into a silent chant, their voices echoing like wind through caves. The runes on the walls brightened and new symbols appeared, drawing a living map of the Elorian system. Dr. Tanvir, standing near Elena, whispered in awe. "These runes show the living grid of power. They map the flow of energy through every world in Eloria's reach." Elena nodded, understanding that the crystal was more than a tool. It was a living archive of Elorian knowledge. A gentle voice drifted into Elena's mind. It carried no sound but felt like warm sunlight on her skin, Elena Marquez of Earth, the guardian spoke in harmony. You have shown great courage and compassion. Your actions have saved a child of Aloria and given hope to many. For this, we offer you our gift. Elena's heart pounded. She stepped forward, meeting the guardian's luminous gaze. What is this gift? She thought, her mind eager but calm. The guardian raised an arm, and the crystal pulsed again. Light formed a small globe in midair, showing a tiny model of Earth-like planets connected by beams of pure energy. The orb swirled, and Elena felt a rush of understanding. It was a template, a blueprint for creating energy cores on countless worlds. The crystal's knowledge would let humans build clean, boundless power generators. Cities that once struggled with blackouts could light entire continents. Farming colonies on barren moons could bloom with life. Dr. Liang, who stood beside Ishara, gasped softly. They want to share this with humanity, she thought, reading the intention behind the light. Elena's eyes filled with tears. She remembered families who worked long hours mining drilling machines, children who studied by dim lamps. The promise of endless energy felt like a dawn breaking after a long night. A smaller guardian emerged from shadows, holding a scroll-like device carved from translucent crystal. Its surface held shifting symbols that looked like floating galaxies. The guardian offered the scroll to Elena. Within this, you will find the methods to adapt our matrix for human biology and technology, the guardian sent into Elena's mind. But heed this warning. The gift will only serve those who honor life and protect worlds. If used for selfish gain, it will fade. Elena accepted the scroll with reverent hands. Its surface was cool as glass, and she felt a slight pulse when her fingers touched it. She bowed deeply, honor and humility filling her. Thank you, she thought to the guardians, her gratitude echoing in her mind. As the guardians withdrew deeper into the fortress, Ishara rose and approached Elena. The girl's bandages were almost healed, but her eyes still held traces of fear from her journey. She placed a small hand on Elena's arm. Elena knelt to meet Ishara's gaze. Ishara's voice came into Elena's mind softly. I give you my people's future. Tears formed in Elena's eyes. Your people have given us a chance to change our fate, Elena responded in thought. The guardians led Elena, Ishara, and a handful of trusted crew members to a separate chamber, a serene sanctuary carved from rose-hued crystal. Its floor was smooth, reflecting soft, radiant light. At the center lay a crystalline dais with a small pedestal. Upon it rested a single bloom, a luminescent flower made of tiny crystal petals. Its glow was gentle but unwavering. The guardian spoke again. This is the star-bright bloom. It grows only where pure life and hope meet. Take it back to your world. Let it remind all that compassion builds true power. Elena reached out and held the bloom carefully. It felt warm and alive. And when she inhaled, the air seemed sweeter, as though every breath carried dreams of new beginnings. She pressed the bloom close to her heart and thought of Earth, of oceans and forests, of cities heavy with smoke, and of people longing for a brighter tomorrow. As the delegation prepared to depart, Ishara gathered her strength to speak once more. She lifted her voice, carrying her words on the gentle current of thought that the guardians had taught her. My home is safe again, she sent to Elena, because of you. Elena's chest tightened with pride and love for this small alien, girl who had crossed star lanes to trust humans. She replied, and our worlds will be better because of your gift. The journey back through the nebula was quiet but hopeful. Elena and her crew felt the weight of the Guardian's trust. They held the crystal scroll and the star-bright bloom as symbols of unity between species. Ishara sat beside Elena, her glowing veins now a soft blue like moonlight. She smiled at the swirling colors outside the viewport. Elena reached over and held Ishara's hand. Ishara's thumb brushed the edge of the bloom, and Elena felt warmth from the petals, even through her gloves. As the Resolute cleared the nebula's edge and entered open space, the starfield ahead shone with new promise. Elena stood at the helm, her eyes set on a distant point where Earth's colony worlds lay scattered like seeds of hope. She clutched the scroll, recalling the Guardian's warning that the gift only served those with pure hearts. She vowed to share the knowledge for all, to build energy cores that would light starships, power schools, and warm homes. Ishara watched Elena with gratitude. In her mind, she sent a simple thought. Together. Elena smiled, understanding that two worlds had joined in friendship. Humanity had proved itself worthy by caring for one small alien child. Now, the ultimate gift would bloom across the galaxy, and both Eloria and Earth would flourish on dare its light. In that moment, Elena felt the truth of the Guardian's promise. Compassion, courage, and unity could shape the destiny of stars. The Resolute glided through quiet space, its journey home guided by gentle pulses from Ishara's data crystal. Captain Elena Marquez stood at the bridge's front viewport, her gaze fixed on the field of distant stars. Behind her, the ship hummed softly, as though it shared her relief. The menacing shadow of the mercenary fleet had faded into memory. Now only hope remained. Elena glanced to her side at Ishara, who sat in a special seat near the observation window. The girl's healing progress was rapid. Her pale skin held a faint glow, and her dark eyes sparkled with curiosity. Beside Ishara, Dr. Tanvir reviewed data from the crystal scroll, absorbed in thought. Captain, Dr. Tanvir said softly, I have begun translating the Guardian's energy matrix. It is like nothing human science has seen. We can adapt it, but we must take each step carefully. Elena nodded. We have time. Let's plan for small trials. We cannot rush. Ishara shifted in her seat and looked at Elena with bright hope. She reached out and touched Elena's arm gently. Although she could not speak many human words yet, her meaning was clear. They were ready to bring light to new worlds. Down in the engineering bay, Cale Haas oversaw preparations. Several technicians stood around a small demonstration generator, built from the Guardian's design. At first glance, the device looked like a cluster of crystal tubes connected by silver wires. Yet, when activated, it shone with soft blue-green light, humming with clean energy. Engineers ran diagnostics. Temperature was stable, energy output consistent, and there was no pollution, no harmful residue, only pure power. Cale watched the readouts and smiled. It works, he whispered to himself. He tapped a console to record data and formulated a report for Elena. In the med bay, Lieutenant Jafari and Dr. Liang assisted Ishara with language lessons. Ishara's voice had grown stronger. She practiced simple human phrases. Thank you, home, friend. Elena felt warmth in her chest whenever Ishara spoke. The bond between them had deepened through shared trials. Now, Ishara's gift would reach far beyond their friendship. That afternoon, Elena held a meeting in the ship's conference room. Ishara's crystal sat on the table, its facets reflecting dim light. Elena addressed her crew, all gathered around a hollow screen showing Earth's colony regions. We have entered the corridor that leads back to Federation space, Elena began. Our first stop will be Europa Station, where we can share the Guardian's generator with their engineers. After successful trials, the design will be sent to other colonies. And Ishara, Elena paused and looked at the girl. You will travel with me to show them the way. Ishara's face lit with a gentle smile. She bowed her head, understanding the responsibility she carried. Dr. Tanvir stepped forward, fingers dancing, over the hollow screen. We must choose a safe location for the first test, he said. Europa Station has stable conditions and skilled technicians. We set the prototype near a school or medical center so everyone can see its benefits. If it works there, public trust will grow. Elena agreed. Let's begin preparations immediately. Cheering lightly, the crew dispersed. Elena placed a hand on Ishara's shoulder. Ishara squeezed her hand in return, gratitude shining in her dark eyes. 2 days later, the Resolute docked at Europa Station. The station towered like a silver flower, its solar sails folded against its hull. Elena, Ishara, Dr. Tanvir, Lieutenant Jafari, and a small team of engineers carried the prototype to a large lab. Word spread quickly. The Elorian crystal generator was going live. Technicians gathered and curious children peered through glass windows. Elena felt the buzz of excitement and responsibility. Dr. Tanvir connected the crystal tubes to power regulators. Ishara watched closely, recalling the Guardian's instructions. Elena stood by, ready to assist. When the moment came, Ishara placed her hand on a small control panel, and a pulse of light rippled through the device. The room brightened as the generator came to life. A gentle hum filled the space, but there was no heat or smell, only a feeling of quiet energy. The lab's lights glowed brighter, and a small city block's normal power usage was easily met by the generator. Gasps filled the room. A technician named Soren approached Elena. "Captain Marquez, this is remarkable. The core is stable, and there's no waste. Our old fusion reactors generate more noise and risk. This is a breakthrough." Elena smiled. "The credit goes to the Guardians of Eloria and Ishara's courage. We will refine the design, but today shows it can work." The children in the lab clapped, and engineers exchanged excited glances. Ishara, standing where she could see their faces, felt a wave of joy. She spoke softly. "Future safe." Her words echoed in Elena's mind as if spoken directly. Later that night, Elena, Ishara, and Dr. Tanvir walked along Europa Station's observation deck. Stars glowed beyond the glass wall. Below, the station's lights gleamed like fireflies. Ishara pointed to a chart of constellation lines drawn on the deck's surface. These lines corresponded to star lanes connecting to frontier planets. Elena watched Ishara trace a path with her finger. Ishara spoke quietly. "Next, Valoris." She tapped the map at a star near a blue-green world. "They need hope there." Elena nodded. "We will be ready." Ishara's glowing veins brightened with anticipation. Back in her quarters, Elena reflected on the journey. She turned the star-bright bloom in her hands, the delicate crystal flower the Guardians had given her. Even in the recycled air of the station, it glowed and thrived. Elena set it on a small shelf beside pictures of Earth and artwork from her crew. She thought of how a single act of kindness, rescuing a frightened alien girl, had sparked change across worlds. Now, clean energy would spread, and old conflicts might soften under the glow of a shared future. The next day, the Resolute departed Europa Station. Elena studied the star chart, considering routes to Valoris and other colonies. Ishara joined, her at the helm, leaning forward to watch the stars shift. Elena glanced at her companion and smiled. Ishara's journey from lost survivor to honored emissary was almost complete. Together, they would carry the Guardian's gift to the farthest reaches of human space. On the bridge, Kyle reported, "Shields and engines are at full capacity. Course set to Valoris. ETA, 72 hours. Elena nodded, then addressed Ishara. "You have grown so much, Ishara. From the first day on the Resolute, you trusted us. Now you trust humanity with your people's most precious knowledge." Ishara looked up, her dark eyes shining. "Trust. Your heart good," she said simply. Elena felt warmth at her core. Down in the engineering bay, Dr. Tanvir and Jafari reviewed upgrades to the generator design. They discussed how to adjust crystal matrices for different planetary environments. Elena passed by, nodding as they spoke. Each forward step reminded her that unity between species, humans, Elorians, Guardians, could create wonders. Days later, as the Resolute approached the orbit of Valoris, Elena prepared for their arrival. Ishara stood beside her, ready to present the new generator to Valoris's Council of Elders. The planet below was lush with emerald forests and sapphire lakes. Though its cities struggled with power shortages, its people remained hopeful. Now, they would see a true gift, light without harm. Elena placed a hand on Ishara's shoulder. Ready? Ishara nodded and spoke in her clear, soft voice. Ready. Elena felt her chest swell with pride. They had crossed star lanes, faced danger, and built a bridge between worlds. Now before them lay a future bright with promise. As the Resolute broke through Valorus's atmosphere and entered orbit, a new dawn beckoned. Humanity and Aeloria would walk together into an age of light. In that moment, Elena realized that gratitude, kindness offered without expectation, could bloom across the galaxy, and in the heart of every star, hope would shine.